Hi there guys, and welcome to another Train Sim 2024 video. Woohoo. This one's a banger. So those of you that know me know that the Class 92 is one of my favourite locomotives, if not my favourite AC/DC locomotive. Ace of Spades. And the sound pack that Richard did for this many years ago was probably my most driven thing in Train Sim. I would say if I'm driving by myself, quite often I would pick a 92 on the West Coast Main Line North, or a 92 on Trent Valley, or something like that. Just one of the trains I'd drive to relax. So knowing that this was getting the EP, I was incredibly pleased. The main thing that I was worried about, bear with me on this one, was that the sound pack was actually pretty much near enough an EP anyway, or it was one of the very first EPs, I suppose, even though it was a sound pack officially. So there was always bits I could see added to it. And this pack, I think, has been done in a sort of a slightly newer way. I know Richard said it in the newsletter, that it's the GSMR is slightly different and a few bits and pieces like that. But I'm already looking at it now and seeing some differences, which is lovely. So I have got a really good change log. I've got a manual to go through. We're going to take a quick look on it on AC and listen to the sounds and do some flapping about with it on there. I want to do a quick bit with it on DC so we can see some differences there and see if we can notice any difference. I want to have a quick look at the Caledonian Sleeper version, because that's got the lovely Max Mortimer, who does a lot of work for ATS. He's done a Delna coupler model for the front of that does actually link up to the coaches and everything as well. So I'd really like to give that a go as well. But we'll just take a look at the loco itself. I won't do it with the coaches because there's a video for that coming up. So let's get going, and we'll go through the manual and we will see how we get on. Let me put the manual back at the top. I've had a flick through this manual. I had a flick through this manual yesterday and this morning. I think it's already been out on somebody shared it on the ATS group actually yesterday, so some of you will have seen this. I think this video is going out on release day. I think release day is today while I'm recording this. I'm trying to get this done so we've got time to do that as well. It's not going to be the longest video in the world. I'm trying to cut my videos down slightly for the sort of previews and keep the longer videos for scenarios and stuff. So the scenario we're doing first is 6 Zulu 72, I think, but we'll get to those. Right, so what's my blurb? Hello driver, you're joining at Milton Keynes, where you've just relieved another driver for the final leg of this enterprise service to Wembley Yard. You're booked arrival of 1700, don't hang about, sat the cab, NRN, with 1,300 tonnes on the hook. You will need plenty of 92.041 horses to get this train up to its maximum pit speed of 60 miles per hour. Enjoy. I will, I'm sure. Let's get the mast key in. Let's get us into neutral. Oh, this one is, because we're an older scenario, this is NRN. This isn't GSMR. But I think one of the scenarios we're doing a bit is with GSMR, so we'll take a look at that as well. Right, okay, we need my instrument lights on, my tail lights off, my headlights on today. That looks about right. God, isn't she pretty? Love a 92. Oh, I've got some 37s hitching a ride as well there. You can see the ETS lights up there. They are changeable on a key. I can't remember what button it is, but we'll go through that in the manual as well. Got the new Max speed boards up there. They're nice. I like that. See, it does look like some of the textures have a little tweak in here. The lighting on the gauges has definitely had a bit of work, because they are now red, which I didn't know they were in real life. Oh, it's heavy. One thing with the old 92 was it was literally super duper powerful. Whatever you put in it, and anything you put behind it, you could go and just go and go and go. Sorry, I've got a text message really important at the same time there. And my hair looks awful. I do apologise. Not that you're here for my beautiful looks, but just done a massive ride, so I should have had my shower before I started. But you don't need to know about my hygiene. Brilliant. That chills me out a little bit. My son's got to go to the dentist, an emergency dentist appointment. It always happens on the days when you've got stuff you really need to do, doesn't it? It's never simple. This feels amazing! Got my channel tunnel O's there. Channel tunnel rings. Donuts. Slightly networkery, isn't it? Turn the train volume up a little bit for you, because the cabs are quite quiet in these. Right, let's get on to the manual. I can't quite explain. There is the feel of pulling this heavy train with this is unbelievable. Right then, quick fire through liveries. We have British Rail Freight, already doing it. BR Rail Freight with BR logos, BR SNCF, SNCF RFD, SNCF RFD EPS logos, EPS logos, RFD logos, EWS logos, Europort 2 logos, GBRF logo, and unbranded. Because these things, some of them I think are still in the original coat they left the factory in. Then we have EWS. That's in the red and yellow. That was, I think there was only like 2 of them in that livery at some point, wasn't there? Always looked really smart in the original EWS livery. Then there is DB. So there's DB Schenker logo, DB small logo, DB large logo. And then you've got GBRF 1. And GBRF 2. GBRF 2 has the normal coupling and the Delna coupling. GBRF 3 has GBRF coupling. GBRF coupling. Screw coupling. Oh, I'm not using the speed set. That's really naughty of me. Do apologise, guys. I should have used the speed set. Don't know what my max speed. 60. There we go. You should only drive this with speed set. It's a Morpeth board, so we are okay. So, screw coupling and Delna on GBRF 3, and GBRF 4, which is the one with the square, not the round edges, is screw coupling and Delna. Then you've got Caledonian Sleeper. You've got ones with EPS... Oh, polos! I didn't say polos. And Caledonian Sleeper logos. EPS for polos. CS1. And then Caledonian Sleeper logo is CS2. That's just the naming of them. And then Caledonian Sleeper logo and Delna coupling, and then an unbranded one of those as well. So, none of the special liveries. So there was Eddie the Engine. Was it Eddie the Engine that this one had? There was the Starbart livery. I can't think of any other 92 liveries that are there. Gosh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There are new views. If I do... Yeah, I don't think the NRN actually... I think it lights up. I don't think it does anything extra on this. So, traction. Traction power is controlled by the power controller, which, aside from initial on-notch, is infinitely variable. A maximum tractive effort of 360 kilonewtons is available from standard start. When using AC power, this starts reducing with speed around 31 miles per hour. When using DC power, it starts reducing at 25 due to the lower available 4,000 kilowatts versus 5,000 kilowatts. It's a super duper powerful bit of kit in it. When double heading, maximum traction effort is halved on each locomotive. This is an interesting thing about the 92s, to 180 kilonewtons, so there is no increase in overall tractive effort. This will prevent too much current being drawn. As a result, there is little benefit of double heading apart from better adhesion, which explains why it rarely happens in reality. So putting two of these together, they will halve power, and again, this was only for extra adhesion for pulling heavier trains out of the Channel Tunnel on the gradients in there. Maximum tractive effort can be increased to 400 kilonewtons below 5 mile per hour by pressing the boost button. This must only be used in the Channel Tunnel. There's very strict circumstances that can be used. It's not to be used on the national network whatsoever. I will still use it when I want to. That's the joy of Train Simulator, really, isn't it? Tractive effort can be observed with the white LEDs on the traction braking meter to the right of the speed selector switch. So that's here. So we're in traction now, and then it goes down into red for braking, and that's a remote if we were having if we were in multiple. So brakes got a PBL brake. That works pretty much like all PBL brakes do. This one will do an initial drop of 4.6 bar. When you initially put it, then you can pull it back. Don't know why it does that. I think 66 does it as well, to be honest. Direct loco brake just works on the loco itself, same as dynamic brake. As mentioned above, this locomotive has dynamic brakes, which hair in my mouth, which effectively turns the traction motors into generators to provide a brake force. Excess energy from this is fed into banks of resistors, which dissipate in the form of heat. And this heat is then vented by a dedicated cooler group, which revs up when the dynamic brake is in use. The sound of which led to these locomotives being nicknamed Dysons, which is what they were. This cooler group continues to operate for 40 seconds after dynamic brake was last active. This brake saves brake pad wear, is faster acting than air brakes. The brake has no individual lever for its operation, simply applied automatically when using the PBL or the speed set. With the use of capacitors, dynamic braking continues to operate through channel tunnel neutral sections as well, which is nice. Dynamic braking effort can be observed as the red LEDs on the traction brake meter to the right hand side of the speed set switch. That's the one I showed you earlier. It's nice to have that really heavy, sort of quite decent run sounds in there. So this has tread brake simulation. By default, Train Simulator braking performance is constant throughout the speed range, so a full brake application at 70 mph will have the same level of retardation than a 10 mph. This is fairly good representation of how disc brakes work, but for stock with tread brakes, it's not so realistic. As a result, this package was scripted to force simulate the relatively poor performance at high speed and the bite at lower speeds when performance increases quite significantly. These tread brakes physics are turned on by default, as most rolling stock these locomotives have haulers fitted with this type of brake. The only exception to this is Delna couple of fitted locomotives, which almost exclusively work with Mark V coaching stock, which are disc braked. You can change this simulated brake by pressing Shift, Control and B. Also, please note the rolling stock you're hauling must be especially adapted to work with our tread brake simulation. It is not, the correct physics will still occur on the locomotive and to some degree on the stock behind, except the extra bite at low speed. So variable performance. Any train driver would say that braking power and performance can vary quite noticeably from train to train depending on a variety of factors. We've simulated this variance by randomly allocating a brake factor every time you drive this locomotive in the simulator. This factor can reduce or increase performance by a maximum of 10% either way. There's no way to find out which factor your train has been allocated except assessing its feel when powering or braking, just like a real driver. That does remind me, we should probably do a running brake test so we can see. You can also hear those cooler group fans kicking in there as well. Not cooler group, dynamic brake fans. And then we'll bring our power back in to get us back up to line speed. We did a bit of a harsh brake test there. So, speed set. When accelerating, this locomotive designed to be driven with speed set cruise control. In theory, to use this, simply turn the speed select to your chosen speed located on the right side of the brake. So this is it here, and it's controllable in the usual way for speed set. Speeds are in 5 mile an hour increments to 85 mile an hour with a final option of 87, the locomotive's maximum speed. When BR, CTRL or EUAC mode, 5 kilometre increments are offered from 5 kilometres to 140 kilometres an hour. So that's when we're working in foreign lands. So once you've done that, open the power control to specify the maximum rate of tractive effort speed set can reach your selected speed. So once you've set your speed set, it's not about how fast you can go, it's about how fast you're going to get there and how much tractive effort you can put down. As you approach the selected speed, tractive effort will automatically tail off if required due to downhill gradient. The dynamic brake may apply to maintain speed, so it will sort of hold you at that speed. Due to the huge amount of tractive effort these locomotives have at hand, speed set also regulates acceleration to ensure it is not too quick. For example, applying full power from a standing start with a light locomotive could cause damage to the locomotive due to the large forces involved. This is why speed set should always be used when accelerating. Speed set does not apply the train brakes to control speeds. Should be on severe downhill gradients with a heavy train, the dynamic brake might be insufficient to maintain speed, and if so, the speed set alarm will sound, which I'll show you now. So if I selected this, that means the train's going faster than the speed set, and it started kicking in the dynamic brake there. But what it's saying is if we're on relatively levelish track, we're all right, but if you're on a big downhill gradient, the dynamic brake might not be able to hold you, and you might start increasing more, so you might need to come off the power and just use the brake itself. Speed set must not be used for reducing speed unless you are light engine, so if it's fine to reduce speed by simply leaving the power controller open and moving the speed selected to a lower speed. That's if you're light loco. The speed set alarm will sound until you reach the desired speed, but if you're hauling a train, you do not use speed select to reduce the speed of the loco. We have neutral section functionality. Gradients, so we have the new gradient system in place, which again is fantastic. I'm desperately trying to find time to update all my other packs that have got it in just to get a much better drive. I find this new gradient thing a game changer in TS Classic at the minute. It's lovely. So adhesion, we've got the usual adhesion stuff in, so we've got affected by season, weather, time of day and in tunnels. WSP, how does the WSP work in 92? Good question. A sophisticated form of wheel slip protection is fitted which aids the driver during times of poor adhesion. If wheel slip is detected, a multi-stage process takes place to try and control it. 1.3 bar of bogey brake pressure is applied to the locomotive's brake to try and scrub the wheels of any contaminant. Power is reduced on the... That's a neutral section we've just gone through there. And we've got traction again now. Power is reduced on the slipping bogey only until wheel slip stops. Once the wheel slip stops, the locomotive's brakes are released and power is slowly restored to the position of power controller. If wheel slip reoccurs, the process starts again. Quite complex. First time I think we've seen something that complex in a train in TS, which is nice. Most time driver intervention is not required, but should wheel slip persist, the closing the power controller to the lower position could help. So we have the Annunciator screen. So on the Annunciator, we have the boot screen. These can be controlled by page up and page down. That's just a Morpeth. We don't need to worry about that. It's page up and page down. So we've got the boot screen, which you haven't seen. You saw at the very start, at the beginning. That one. So this is the standby screen, and it's got speed set there because we've got speed set active. We then have auxiliary values. So this does digital speedometer, dynamic brake demand, electric train supply, current if on. And then we have cooling and ventilation. Displays the temperature of the traction motors, converters and transformer, also shows current ventilation level. Arrows indicate the temperature at which the traction package will lower tractive effort. So once it reaches these arrows here, it will cut out some of the tractive effort to keep it cool. We then have the repetition of failure. So shows current and active faults. No faults are present. It automatically switches standby screen after about 4 seconds. The next fault, if applicable, can be shown by pressing the Enter key on the Annunciator keyboard. Oh, I didn't know that. That's new. So it might have more than one fault. So we will get DLF and temperature stuff. That's coming up. for me to talk about. I think there's actually, yeah, I should have just done that to show you that. So there are your beautiful screens with a nice new view to stop you faffing about with a mouse. Right, temperature simulation. This is one of the big things in the original pack as well. Depending on locomotive power output, traction converter temperature is calculated from the transformer and the traction motor temperature. If traction converter temperature reaches above 63 degrees Celsius, ventilation level 3 is activated, cooler group fans speed up. Traction converter reaches 65 or above, available power is lowered and fault shown on the outside screen, which needs to be acknowledged by pressing the fault acknowledge push button, the FAP key, which is on the F key. Ventilation level 3 will deactivate and full power will be restored once the converter drops to 50 degrees Celsius. DLF monitor. So DLF monitor checks current levels and patterns that can be hazardous to the safe operation of track signaling systems. When triggered, it cuts and the FAP button illuminates. A fault message appears on the annunciator. The general fault light also illuminates if the power handle is open. Acknowledge fault by pressing the FAP key, by pressing the FAP button, the FAP button, and you'll be able to acknowledge power again. Please note that there is more chance of this fault occurring on a winter morning. So, because of the complexity and erroneous EMF and all sorts of things that can interfere with trackside signalling, cabling, that sort of thing with the 92s, they are famous for it. They fitted this system that basically cut it and you had to press the fault acknowledge button, blah, 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 blah. It's really interesting if you're into it. If you're not, it doesn't really need to matter. Electric train supply we have it on home and end. You can see up here changing, so you can't see my mouse key, so there we go. So we have it on and off. TVM 430, we do have TVM 430 in this. It does work and it uses the DTG one. I'm not going to do the test with this in this section. I might do it in the video if I remember, but I might not, but it does work. It has drive vigilance device is on the E key. As we know, that can be turned on or off. Again, that was another, I think this was the first train that featured that. The sound pack was the first one to feature that as well. We have the driver guard signal. It's like an 80s phone, I love it. You can use that when using a Delta coupler fitted locomotive, which is using the Mark 5 coach in stock. You will receive beeps from the guard after the doors have closed. You're then expected to reply with 2 beeps pressing the C key. This is only working if the locomotive is fully on the platform. So we do have that. That's a nice touch to have. Variable traction motor volume. Oh, nice! Didn't know that. I've even missed that out of the. Read the manual yesterday. So that's on from 1 to 6, and depending on the mechanical condition to simulate this. We've implemented a random motor factor for each locomotive range from 1 to 6, 1 being barely ordered and 6 being prominent. This can also be controlled by the player locomotive using Shift M and Control M. Horn variants. 3 horn variants provided on the guise of horn factor upon loading up scenario. You'll be able to choose those. So this one we have now is. Then we have. No, I need Control H. I'm already at the end. Oh, there we go. It's not Control Shift H. Bit of the manual needs tweaking there. It's Control H or Shift H. So we have that one as well. So there's your 3 horns. I'll mention to Richard that it's just Control H or Shift H. That was my bad there. Right, dead variant. A dead variant of all liveries provided with dead suffix and scenario editors for scenario creations. NRN, to activate the NRN, you must be filled with scenario editor, so that's done in the scenario editor. If it's not already registered on starting up the scenario, you may register it by Control N to deregister. It is not, so it's Control N. There we go. So you do have something to do with the NRN, sorry. my bad. Now I've read through the menu. You'll see you can do that with Control-N, which I quite like. I did the GSMR earlier, and just not having to type it all in, whilst I do enjoy typing it in, don't get me wrong, I don't see it as a terrible negative. Is it a bit of a cop-out? Yeah, of course it is. Because to actually fit GSMR to this would have been a nightmare. So not really a cop-out in that sense. You're actually getting functionality, but it's not a cop-out, a middle ground, should we say. And I approve of it. I don't think it's a bad idea. I would like it to be the norm, but for locos that we can't get a whole new GSMR unit in, to be able to do that, I like. So it adds extra functionality to those that might not have got it otherwise, which I like. Arcing pantographs, it's got the full arcing pantograph with the differences in the weather and the time of day and all of that affecting it. AI horns is included, of course. Cold start, you can do full cold starts. This is quite a complex one to do cold starts with. Bits and bobs. Comprehensive section 2D nameplates included for all liveries. Various cab vision improvements, high quality gauges, lit indicators. Weathering realistically transparent windows, because they were terrible before. 1 second delay over the AWS magnet. Headlights only providing illumination the correct way. As per reality, the speedometer needle wobbles when providing a reading. That's pretty cool. On the... you see it? Woohoo! I like that. Especially on the tape speedometer as well. That's really cool. The visible driver automatically moves to whichever cab you're in or is leading AI. Train in-cab decals which state locomotive and cab number. Annunciator casts subtle light at night. Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that. General fault light illuminates if brake pipe pressure is below 3.5 bar, which cuts power. The general fault light extinguishes and restored once we get brake pressure. The main reservoir falls below 4.5. The emergency brake valve will activate. Safety system isolation fault shows red when DVD is disabled, and AI train windscreen wipers activate when raining. Fantastic. Right, so there is a driver's guide in there about on the move and find the power handles in the right place. Well worth a read for the rest of the manual. I am going to have another little listen to the sounds, going to do some passing, and then we are going to probably jump over to do a bit of DC third rail with this. Actually, tell a lie, what I need to do is actually put my headlights back on, because I've been fiddling about with those so much. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. Does look nice. I was in the cab for the tunnel because it was dark. Otherwise, I was going to fly over. See, a lot of people will find these quite... oh, it's a bit utilitarian. Love them. The whole time and era these were built, these are still one of the most complex locomotives in the world, even to this day. A lot of solid state technology, some analog technology still in there as well. These things are a beast. They're basically two locos in one UK loading gauge body shell, which is fantastic. Right, let's hop over and do some third rail stuff. Right, we are DC land now, and we have a lovely GBRF unit, sans Delna though. Right, okay, I'm going to make sure our motor volume is full, motor factor, so we can get a good sound with this. Let me just make sure we're good to go in here. We can also take a look at the startup screens of the Annunciator. Woo. 750 odd DC mode is selected. That's good. GSMR, we need to then do Control and N. No, Control and G. Oh, and if you haven't put the thing in the scenario editor, it won't register it for you. Hands-free GSMR. Okay, the buttons actually push. I don't know what... There's obviously a reason why it's not able to be integrated. I think it'll be click spots and all that jazz. But that's not... I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I wouldn't say it's my favourite feature, but it's definitely not a bad one. Right, let's not take my brake fully off, because we do still have a red. We now have a yellow. I also want to put a little bit of power on, because we are on a bit of a gradient here, before I release my brake. Just realised I was not setting my speed set again. Let's do 25, because 25 coming up. Yes. I'm going to drive the backside out of this. I don't care what anybody says. I'm in love. Let's brake us down. Single yellow, so we're probably expecting a red at the station. So, scenarios, even though I've just said we're about to probably be approaching a red. We've got 6 Sierra 7.5, which is a Sheerness Moss End scenario. You've got 6 Zulu 9.5, which is the one I just did, which is Warrington Arpley to Wembley Yard. Both those are West Coast Mainline South. They're in 2003 and year 2000 respectively. We then have Wembley Yard to Dollins Moor, which is this service, which is set in June 2017. So we'll have dynamic braking down to 7 miles an hour, and then we'll be on straight air, well, air. So we're on air now. Oh, it's 5 mile an hour, was it there? Oh, nice. It's come off just in time that we didn't need to stop. I mean, you can definitely tell that we have got less power. I mean, I know we are still a heavy train, but you can definitely feel there's a bit less power here. Turbo! I wonder if any drivers have actually done that in real life. You'd get found out pretty quickly, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll show up on your any downloads, put it that way. Oh, mate, this is a pleasure to drive. Cab's had a little bit of a tweak here and there. Nothing major in the cab. Textures are definitely a bit better. Feels a little bit more modern, not so weirdly shiny and weird. No weird windscreens. Got yellow again here. I'm going to really look forward to driving this on streams and stuff massively. It's a double yellow at least. We won't drive this one for too much longer. I want to go and take a look at the Delna 92. It just feels big, heavy, powerful, but like it can just take it, like functional, powerful, functional. I don't know how to describe it more than that, really. I could read a thesaurus. I don't think I'd get it out in the right way. Once you drive it, you get the feel of it. What I will do really quickly is read through another thing that Rich has done for this, because I think this is impressive for what this is. But people go, it's not that much different to the sound pack. I don't really know. So Richard has handily done a changelog. So if you owned a previously available Class 92 sound pack, we compiled a list of things that have changed, update this answer pack, which would make it as comprehensive as possible, but there are most likely other changes we've forgotten to mention. I'm sure there probably are. External visuals, redone new liveries from the ground up with higher resolution visuals, 2D nameplates in many variants, new headlight, taillight visuals on original LED, projected light from headlights fades in and out with day-night, updated pantograph sparks to match the 8687 pack, Delna coupler option for relevant liveries, new cab camera angles, GSMR NRN switch panel above the driver, also amended main driving angle, weathering and shading, colour changes, high quality gauges, new instrument lights, subtle form of annunciator light, improved visuals for line light local VCB ETS off, indicators and fault acknowledge push button, no longer basic circular grows, improved cab light in colour and range. That day was very orange, the last one if I remember rightly, but that does look very nice. If a nice FPS eater as usual with cab lights, that's across all packs, not just this. Improved data panel above driver's head. We have seen GSMR decal added to GSMR phone. That's on there. Max power controller marking added. TPWS indicator illuminates during self-test. High quality NRN radio. A GSMR radio added. That was double last time. We're still on a double now. This is the joy of a bit of speed set, you see. I should have the DSD on, of course, so it's not like it's boring to drive. Functionality, tread-based simulation, gradient correction, wheel slip protection, cold start, master key commands, instrument light keys, speed set select keys, all cab switches now, cab specific. For example, if you turn the master key in one cab, it won't move the master key in the other cab. Auto GSMR registration, also NRN registration, visible driver moving cabs, general fault light, illuminates brake pressure, light extinguishes when restored, tractive power can't be obtained after emergency brake application until brake pipe is over 4.6. ETS can only be turned on when keyed in. Power halved per local when double heading to ensure power draw not high as per reality. Emergency brake application main reservoir falls below 5.5 bar. Safety system isolation fault shows red. AI windscreen wipers when raining. On AI, rear panto now always rage regardless of which cab is leading. System selector and power enable switch now operate when keyed in. Apply and release rates of brake pipe cylinder pressures now match reality. A brake pipe now reduces very quickly when emergency brake is applied. 1.5 second delay when applying brake from off to your brake cylinders reacting. 0.3 second delay at all other times. Emergency brake now applies when keying out. Line local correctly illuminates as soon as pan raised. VCB dropped. Doesn't have to close for this to happen. Driver guard buzzer added. Dynamic brake control continues to operate as per neutral sections. Dynamic brake controller group now stays on for around 40 seconds since last time the dynamic brake was used. AI horns can now sound the horn. AI locos can now sound the horn. Dead man's variable tail light options. Motor factor variable traction volume. See, this is sort of re-going over the manual. I get it, but it does give you a better indication of what's going on. Then we have, I've just realised, I reckon at the end of that last video, of the last section on the 25, when we're doing the OHLE one, I think my fault light was lit. I'll have to go back in the video and watch it. You'll let me know in the comments anyway, I'm sure. Please do though. The following sounds are new. Any sound not mentioned, of which there are very few, remain unchanged or simply had their volumes altered. Traction motor cooler group outside only. Dynamic brake cooler group. Train and loco brake compressor. Parking brake, pan up down, sander, ticking sparks valve, transformer, VCB open close, brake squeal, flange, joints inside and out, third rail shoe clatter, bogey rung, cab button switches, etc. Apart from a few switches which were unable to source recordings for, so remain unchanged. 2 new horn variants as well as original horns have been re-edited. Re-edited traction converter sounds which are much more detailed. Traction motors, pantograph, arcing. So there is a massive amount of stuff that's changed, all in all. It's not just a rehash of the old pack as such. Sorry for the jump there. We're going to go and look at the Delna fitted one now, I think. Let's do that. Right, you join me back on the West Coast Mainline North, just having a quick look at the Caledonian Sleeper variant in quick drive. I didn't pick an unbranded one, but it has given me one without any branding. I do have the branding patch in, so I don't know if I've just messed that up. I don't do quick drives very often. But this is purely to show you the wonderful Delna coupler. This was done by Max of Maxtrax fame. Also does a lot of work for ATS and a general all-round good geezer. This has been made to work with the Mark 5, so when you have the Mark 5s they do couple up together crisp, and that is something I'm really looking forward to doing, a full sleeper run with a 92 up to Edinburgh or Glasgow. Haven't decided what one yet, and it's not going to be exactly a massively interesting stream because it'll be at night unless I can find some like rare late one that it did sometime, and then I can maybe do it kind of in daylight. Anyway, regardless, that is the beautiful Delna coupler and on the Caledonian sleeper livery. So we have seen pretty much, we've just sort of seen what most of this pack can do. I, for one, am massively impressed by it. I think it is a very worthwhile upgrade from the sound pack. Fantastic work on the feel of the locomotive. The driving physics feel fantastic. The braking, the sounds are so much more intense. And the 92 wasn't bad, but they're just more depth to them, more immersive. They're lovely. So yeah, this is a massive yes from me. Now, I can't give you the price because I forgot to ask Rich the price, and I've messaged him while I've been doing this, but he hasn't responded yet. So I don't know what the price is. I'm not going to be too fussed with it as long as it's not over sort of like 15 quid. I'm not going to be fussed. You guys make your own choice up. Of course, as always, if you don't think you're going to get value out of it, don't worry about it. If you don't think you're going to get value out of it and you've got the sound pack, don't worry about it. That's cool. I will get a lot of use out of this, and a massive amount of use out of this. So for me, this is an absolute must-have. For you guys, it might not be. But for those of you that have never had the sound pack and have the 92 and want a good train to drive, this thing's banging. And even if you don't think you'll drive the 92 that often, I think once you've given this a go, you really will. Right, this video's gone on longer than it was meant to anyway, so I'll let you guys go. Thank you very much for your time. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Head over to Thomson Sim for all your latest and greatest train sim needs, and also head over to Armstrong Powerhouse to find this wonderful pack. I will catch you all soon. Look after yourselves. Take care. All the best.